Good morning. Thank you, Jesus, for another day. It's a Sunday. We got a whole bunch of stuff to do. Let's see if we can get it done. Let's get into the video. What I've been doing here is I'm just sanding down our material to 1.5 inches exactly. On the saw stop over there, I cut it about a 30-second heavy, and then I'll sand it down in 2 passes to exactly 1.5 inches. Takes out any burn marks or anything I don't like as well. But it also makes sure that it's exactly 1.5 inches wide for our face frames. There we go. And it'll also just make it easier for our when we palm sand. But it just takes out anything I don't like from the saw stop. And it also makes everything exactly uniform. I did that on our 2.5 pieces. I did that on an 1 3/4 piece. So now what I'm going to do is this cabinet right here is too wide to be put together and then sent through that vertical belt sander. It's like 45 inches wide, I think, vertical belt sander, and it's too tall. It's 42 tall by 45 wide. Vertical belt sander can only do 37 inches. So I'm going to sand those pieces down and then put them together. All the rest of the face frames I'll put together and then sand. So sand these down to 3/4 of an inch thick, bring everything over there, and I'll start putting everything together with glue and screws. I have my Kreg jig machine set up to 3/4 of an inch. So now what I'm going to do is Kreg jig them. All of my top and my bottom pieces. On these wider pieces, 2.5 and above, I make my jigs a little bit wider, because I have the room to do that. There's also another reason I do that, so I'll explain here in a minute. It has to do with the types of screws that I choose to use. On anything less than 2.5 inches wide, you can obviously tell the pocket holes are a lot closer together, and that's just because the width of the material is dictating that. Making sure I'm perpendicular there. Okay. Now what I'll do, set my top piece up there towards me, my right hand piece here, my left hand piece here. I'm gonna get the glue, nice good amount of glue. You wanna go too crazy because it'll pop through on the inside. But you want to put enough that the end grain doesn't just soak it up and absorb it. Clamp this. If it will clamp, I don't know why it just didn't clamp. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Why is this fighting? The first face frame that I put together fought. This one's fighting. It's a Sunday, and I kind of expect it not to fight today, but everything is just everything today. It's crazy work, crazy work. Let's move up here. Okay, that's better. 1 1/4 coarse thread going on the inside. Talk about this in one of my videos before, but I use a fine thread on the outside, because I don't want this end grain right here to pop out and blow out. Nice tight seam, but I don't want that end grain right here to pop out and blow out. If you use a coarse thread there, it'll have the tendency to pop out and blow out. So, I don't do it. But I don't use a fine thread on the inside because I don't like too fine threads. I don't think it pulls the material tight enough. They have a tendency to want to spin out if you're not super careful. So I like the coarse thread because it provides the nice structural strength. But I like the fine thread because it doesn't blow the end grain out. There we go. Cabinets, or any material, any joint will tend to expand and contract over time while it's in a house. I'm going to clamp this. This seam didn't tighten up as perfectly as I want it to. So once I put this other piece in, I'm going to clamp it together with a lot of glue and it'll be perfect. Seams will tend to want to crack out over time in anything with real wood in a house with humidity and temperature change. So I'm going to try my best, obviously, to not have that happen or try to mitigate that. And that's why I also like using the coarse thread. Just pulls everything tight. The glue can play a big role in that as well. There we go. That one's super tight. Love that. See, just like that. Screws are just falling everywhere. I don't know what it is today. Try not to have a bad attitude. But, holy smokes. Been a struggle already today. There we go. That one did it too. I don't know why. Okay. That's nice and good as well. Okay, I'm gonna clamp this top part because it's not terrible, it just didn't pull it as tight as I want it to be. And I want these to be nice and tight. Have to get a bigger clamp out. Just try to clamp this really quickly. Even the clamps are fighting today. This is crazy work. Okay, there we go. That's what I'm looking for right there. Nice and tight. Love that. Absolutely love that. Okay, one is now finished. I got to double check the measurements on it. I am going to putty the seams. They're nice and tight. This one's nice and tight now too, since I clamped it. Like, that's really tight, but I'm still going to putty them just in case. These are all going to get painted. Once I have the rest of them all put together, there's 7 more to go. Hopefully they're not as hard as this one was, but if they are, I'll get through it. So I'll double check these and then they'll all get sanded over there in the vertical belt sander from 13/16 thick to 3/4 of an inch thick. And then once that's completed, I'll bring them back all over here, slightly palm sand, make sure everything's perfect. Then I'm gonna go way over there where the CNC is. I'm gonna start organizing cabinet shells and start by their number. And then I'll start putting the cabinet shells together with the dado, the glue, and the screw. I have all of the face frames put together. I cross-referenced them here with our measuring sheets. That's the face frame over there that was too wide to fit, that we pre-sanded before we put it together. So I'm gonna go palm sand that while these are drying up. Once that's done, if Carl's not here yet, I will start sanding these, get them through here. And then once they're done there, from being taken down from 13/16 thick to 3/4 of an inch thick, I'll bring them over here, palm sand them. Face frames will pretty much, for the most part, be done. We're not spraying anything. We're gonna spray it all in the house since we're spraying the lowers at the same time. The lowers are existing cabinets. We're just refacing with new doors, drawer fronts, and drawer boxes. Uppers are new cabinets, but we have to spray the lowers, so we're just gonna spray the uppers there. That way we can get them in. Once the face frames are done, I won't have them dadoed, but I'm gonna start putting together all the cabinets that are sitting over there, the cabinet shells. And then once the shells are put together, I'll dado the face frames. Get the face frames on, get the skins on, maybe start cutting the shelves, putting on the bottom 1/4 inch panels that'll cover up all the crags, and so on and so on and so on. So do all that. I'm going to first start by palm sanding that face frame right behind me, and then start vertical belt sanding the others. That face frame is now ready to be dadoed. So now my next task is I'm going to start sanding all of those face frames down from 13/16 thick to 3/4 of an inch thick with the vertical belt sander, switching between 80 grit and 150 grit sandpaper. Once that's completed, I'll DeWalt sand them with 220. My hair is crazy. And then the face frames, when my camera is so dirty. That's better. Then the face frames will pretty much be completed. They'll need dadoed, but think I'll start, once they're palm sanded, I will start putting together, or I'll start organizing the cabinet shells, Kreg jigging the cabinet shells, screwing and gluing the cabinet shells all together, and then I can dado, put on, dado, put on, dado, put on, and that sort of deal. And then I don't know if I'll get to putting the face frames on with the skins today. That's kind of my plan, so that way tomorrow I can come through, I can load all the vans. Tomorrow's Monday, but it's a holiday, so the guys won't be here, but I can load all the vans, make all the shelves, measure the doors for these upper cabinets, then maybe start making the drawer boxes. I also may have to go measure for a kitchen. I'm not sure yet, so we'll see, but try to get a lot more stuff done tonight. I'm over here sanding the face frames with the palm sander, just making sure everything is cleaned up. 220 sandpaper. Those 4 are completed. I have 5 more to go, and then I will start organizing the cabinets by number, Kreg jigging everything, gluing, dado, screwing, getting the cabinets put together before I dado these face frames out, and start gluing, screwing, and putting these face frames onto our cabinet shells. Here's all of our cabinet shell pieces, the CNC cut. Here's a few more. So now what I need to do is organize all of these by number. They're all numbered. Right now I just need to organize them, Kreg jig everything, and then start gluing and screwing everything together. Alright, I'm going to set my Kreg jig machine up for 1/2 inch material, and I go a hair farther back than what is actually supposed to be set for 1/2 inch. There we go. Let's keep adjusting this. There we go. I think that'll work. Okay, let's test it out now. So these are a few of the side pieces, left and right side. Now let's get this adjusted down, a little more I'd say. Let's go right to there. Let's see what this does here now. I think I like that. Okay. Make sure everything is tight. I'm gonna go 6 Kreg jigs per piece here. So it goes like that. That should work out, I think, pretty nice. So this happens to be number 4. Going to kind of just set these anywhere and everywhere at this point, which isn't great, but it'll work out. Okay, there we go. Piece is definitely warped a little bit. That's okay, because the dados will fix that. It'll just be a little bit of a pain to put together. That's one big advantage to having everything dadoed right there. It self-straightens everything. Number 9. Okay, this looks like a great spot for number 9. Make sure those, yep. What's this guy? Number 9. Okay. Let's try to get this right here. Just want to make sure the piece is flat so the Kreg drill bit goes in at the correct depth, which it is. Just have to pay attention here. Alright, I'm going to just keep organizing and Kreg jigging as I go. Again, this is number 9. And then, once I have everything Kregged and organized and put together, I will start gluing and screwing these. Alright, so I got all my pieces organized around this area, and I should have them all Kreg jigged. So the next step here should, in theory, just be able to use ample amounts of glue here. I have my 1¼ inch screws right there. Coarse thread, so that way they grip into the plywood well. Don't want fine thread. There we go. Not countersinking. Switched off of that and started using these screws. Oh, don't fight now. I'm telling you today, it's kind of been a fight. I don't know exactly why. There we go. See? Just barely sunk in there, which is all we need. That's all I want. Countersinking, I always felt like it made the screw sink too much. And it actually did what I didn't want it to do. So these screws perform way better. There we go. And it's actually faster too, because it takes a step out. That side is in. Next, use a lot of glue into the dado. Kind of clip it in there, just like that. Get my screws out. And then, gotta try to attempt to line it up here, just like this. There we go, sink it in. It's sunk in too much, it doesn't hold as well. So I just want it barely sunk so that way the side panels don't pop or they don't contact with the content cement as well. Just have to make sure you go straight, and that's fine, and that's perfect. Right here I used a little bit too much glue, so I'll wipe that from the inside. Make that go away. Okay, next, and again, we're all Kreg jigged there, Kreg jigged there. Put glue down there, glue there, and then get the glue up in there. I don't like to put it the whole way here because as I slide the piece in, the glue will transfer. And if you do too much glue, it'll build up in that corner and then kind of go everywhere. So these are tight, which is good. Sometimes they like to fight when they're tight, just like this. But now it's in there well. What I'll do here, screw it in, nice and straight. There we go. Okay. Check that that is the same on both sides. It is, because that's what the part of the face frame is going to rest on. That's not dadoed. The top and the bottom are not dadoed, so that's what it'll rest on. And if it's uneven, it won't perform well. There we go. And then, before I forget, screw the back in. A little bit of glue squeeze out, which is good. That means we have enough glue in there. There we go. We have our 1/4 inch scribe, so if we have to scribe the back for the wall, we're able to. Okay, that's looking good. Flip it. Glue. There we go. Glue there. And glue there. Okay. Now we'll put in this piece. It is Kregged. Good. Slide it in there. And that's all the same as that. Perfect. Screw it in. Nice and straight. Otherwise it'll pop through, which is not something we want. 3 more screws over here. Perfect. It's nice that the CNC pre-drills where the screws go. So that way you know that as long as you screw it in straight, the screw will go into the joining piece. There we go. Last one. Okay. This cabinet should be completed. Now I just need to measure it and label it. And that one's done. Now I just need to do 8 more, and then I can start dadoing face frames and cutting out panels to cover up our Kreggs on the bottom side of our cabinet. I now have every single cabinet glued, screwed, locked in with our dados. Even the corner cabinet, it's a little bit harder to put together. We have to cut a 45 on this back piece. Make sure it comes out perfectly flush here, otherwise the shelves will not fit. So they're completed, I'm going to start dadoing out these face frames, double checking all of these measurement wise and labeling everything, and kind of go from there. Hopefully get the face frames on today, maybe even glue the skins on. That way tomorrow I can cut all the shelves and make sure all the shelves fit. Load up the vans and be ready for Tuesday. All right, so first cabinet I'm doing is a microwave one. It's a quarter scribe on each side. Yep. So I have this set up where I think it needs to be. I'm gonna lower it just a hair because I'd rather have to make another pass at it than be too high to begin with. That I've done before, and that is no good. Okay, so I'm gonna go right there. My plan here, it's gonna get noisy, and I'm gonna dado both sides and see if it fits. Only one way to know. Next side. See how the fit is. And this fit, the quarter and quarter are perfect. How are we on our, so I don't know if you can see here, there's a little gap, so I need to make it a little bit deeper of a dado, which is fine. Kind of what I had thought. But again, I'd rather start too low and just be able to move it up a little bit than be too deep and then you're screwed. Next attempt here. I think I might go a hair more. It's pretty darn close. Let's measure. It needs to be 12 inches deep here. I almost like it a lot, actually. Almost like that a lot. I may leave that. Okay, I think I'm going to leave that right where it is. That's all you got to do when you dado, and then it's going to create a nice channel for our glue. It also helps square anything up and lock anything in. There we go. We don't brad nail. And typically these would be painted, but again, since we are painting the lowers on site because they're going to be existing lowers with brand new doors, drawer fronts, drawer boxes, everything, we're just going to install these and then we'll spray everything on site. Tape it, spray it. Typically we don't do that. We spray everything, put it through our oven. All the doors and drawer fronts and drawer boxes will be sent through the oven though, so just these frames will not be. Which is just fine. The frames don't, if we're being honest, the frames do not take the abuse. The way I measure for doors, it's a custom overlay, so I like to cover about 90% of the cabinets. There we go. There's no set overlay. It depends on what's in the room, whether there's walls or other trim or appliances, or the gapping is what is the consistency on our cabinets. It's not the hinge size. A lot of people just do 1/2 inch, which means the doors would cover a 1/2 inch of the face frame on each side. That's not nearly as custom. It's a lot harder to do it this way. Because for instance, like this is a microwave cabinet, so there's a cabinet here, so I can go 1.25 inches for our hinge size, for our overlay size. But if there's a wall here, I can only go 1 inch this way and 1.25 inches this way, and then if there's another wall, you just match the overlay you did here, so 1 inch. So there's a 1/2 inch gap anywhere that a door can hit anything when it opens up, because we'll put restrictors in the doors. So the doors, instead of opening 110 degrees, they open, I believe it's 89 degrees. It might be 87. It's 89 or it's 87 degrees. That allows the handle and the door not to hit the wall or another door or a wall or an appliance or anything like that. There we go. Getting this thing screwed in. After we glued it and screwed it, everything is screwed in. Just double check that. There we go. That one should be good. We have the shelf holes. Here we go. I'm going to double check the measurement. So we are exactly 12 deep. That is what we want. Upper cabinets are 99% of the time 12 inches deep. Sometimes they're 15, sometimes they're something else, but predominantly 12 inches deep. Lowers are 24 inches deep. I'm dying over here, I think. Okay. So next is, we have 30 for our width. Okay. Microwave cabinet is 30, 25 and 7/8 tall. If I can get up under there, 25 and 7/8. 25, 7/8. Okay. Perfect. So then what I'll do is I'll put this 30, 25 and 7/8 shelf we have to make still, and then a quarter this way, quarter this way, and a quarter this way. Perfect. So this is number 5. Micro. I wouldn't necessarily mark up there, but they're going up to the ceiling. You'll never see it, and so I don't need to get a label or a piece of paper or anything to cover that. This is number 5. This is the bottom side, a skin that matches the exterior will go on this to hide our crags, so I can just label it. That way when I go to measure for this skin, I can just write down on my piece of paper, number 5, blah, 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 measurements, and then contact cement it on. So this sucker is DONE. Done. Love that. Well, it needs the bottom skin, and then I gotta measure for doors, and I gotta cut a shelf. But, and yeah, put on a skin on the side. Yeah, so it's done for right now though. I'm gonna move on to the next 7. So that 8 of the 9 will be done, and then I'll worry about this behemoth. I need to cut 45s right here, and then dado the face frame, cut 45 on the face frame, back cut a 45 on the face frame, and then put it on. Nice and easy. Not, but nice and easy. Okay, I'm gonna start on these. Just finished building this corner cabinet. We have to 45 the cabinet shell, dado out, and 45 and back 45 this cabinet to get it to line up here. It's a super pain in the butt, but do it correctly, that's how it's done. Came out looking really nice. I'm gonna wait till tomorrow to screw that in. Super tired, and I need to take some time to make sure I adjust it correctly so that way I can screw it in. That being said, if you enjoyed the video, give us a like. Make sure you subscribe. Check out our website. We'll see you tomorrow, which is Memorial Day. Adios.